Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching today. I do appreciate you tuning in. And to those of you that have been subscribing, thank you. I really do appreciate that. The numbers are continuing to slowly go up, and the support means so much to me. So thank you. Today, another little bonus episode, as I'm going to be talking about Welcome to Derry, episode 2, before episode 3 comes out tomorrow. Don't know who all has been watching this show. I've seen a lot of stuff about it on social media, so I feel like some of you out there are. For those of you that are waiting so you can binge it, hey, I completely understand. So if you don't want to watch, I get it. But for those of you that do tune in, thank you again for watching today. Let's jump right in and get into episode 2. We start off with a little bit of a recap from episode 1, and just to kind of summarize my own thoughts on episode 1, I enjoyed it. I'm intrigued. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with the creature that we get in episode 1, but it did enough to catch my attention. Now, episode 2 started off after that little flashback. I felt like the first maybe quarter of this episode, I was having a hard time plugging in because it just seemed like it was a little bit slower. Maybe even a little boring, to be completely honest with you. And I was like, man, I really hope that this show gets better and keeps going, because episode 1 intrigued me, but I was struggling with the beginning of episode 2. And really, I think it was setting up story, which turns out to be great, and now I know why it started the way it did. But we kind of get started off with Hank Grogan, who is Ronnie's dad. We got a lot of Ronnie in episode 1, and Hank was there at the theater, works there at the theater. We start off with him. The police are investigating him for these children's disappearances, and he's talking to family about them trying to pin this on him, even though he had nothing to do with it. Ronnie overhears the conversation, and she's concerned about it, but he's telling her that everything's going to be okay. We also then cut over to Major Hanlon, who we were introduced to in episode 1. Kind of some interaction with he and his family. We then go to the school, and we see Lily trying to adjust after what happened to the other kids there in episode 1. And again, all really setting things up for the rest of this episode. So now I know why it started the way it did. But in the beginning, I was struggling a little bit and had some concerns as to whether I was going to be able to stay interested in this show, just to be honest. But from there, I feel like things slowly start to pick up a little bit. Now, we still, excuse me, we find out that Sergeant Masters, who we had also met as being the racist guy there in episode 1, that he is arrested for the attack that took place on Major Hanlon there in the first episode. We also, Charlotte Hanlon, Major Hanlon's wife, she's walking through town, then, through Derry. She's already getting a lot of odd looks from people in the town, but then she sees a fight. She sees some, like, 3 boys picking on another boy and attacking him and beating him up. And so she goes out and stops this attack. But even then, she gets even more looks from, other people in the town that they just disapprove of what she's doing and her getting involved. And again, we're kind of setting things up. But even here, I was like, okay, I mean, we're getting a little more, but come on, like, this does not feel like episode 1 to me. And that's where I feel like then things start to pick up and change, because then we get Ronnie, and she has a kind of like a nightmare vision combination thing of her dead mother. It starts off with her being there in bed, and then she's scared. She hears noises. She pulls the sheets up over her head, and then she kind of gets stuck. She's trapped under there. There's weird stuff going on. She ends up getting onto the floor, and then she sees this vision of her dead mom, blaming Ronnie for her death, also blaming Ronnie for the kids that have disappeared and what has happened with them, and even telling Ronnie that she's going to end up killing her dad. And then kind of like with I don't know if it was supposed to be like the umbilical cord or what, because she still looks pregnant, this vision that she's seeing of her mom, stretches out and gets a hold of Ronnie and is trying to drag her back up into her mom, who now the area that it is trying to drag her back up into has teeth, almost look like a Venus flytrap looking thing. Very gross, very disgusting. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, we're getting something now. We're something is happening, at least. It's not just setup. So it was a disturbing scene, but at least it started to give us something again, and started to pique my interest again. Ronnie, in having this vision, she finally manages to escape. Well, her dad comes in because he hears her screaming, and when he comes in, then of course everything disappears and she's just on the floor freaking out. But um, we also then cut back to the army. The army is searching the woods. They're also being watched very closely by Native Americans. We also get introduced to the character of Dick Halloran, who's in the military. And Dick Halloran is, the character from, he's in The Shining. He's the chef in The Shining there at the Overlook Hotel. So kind of an interesting tie-in there. And really makes me want to know where this goes. How are we tying The Shining and it together? I think it's a very cool idea. So I'm very curious where this is going to go. But yeah, I think this was the first part that of this episode that really grabbed me. I mean, I was glad something was happening. I was, after struggling a little bit in the beginning, to get this now about the halfway point and getting introduced to this character who was in The Shining, I really thought was very cool and really started to, like I said, pique my curiosity and pull me back in completely. So I really like that scene, or the fact that we get introduced to that character, and we wonder what exactly is the army looking for, out here in the woods. And so, yeah, things are picking up well here. From there, we cut back to the school, and Ronnie is telling Lily about her vision and what happened and how afraid she is. They also get into the conversation of what they told the police the night after, these kids were killed at the theater. The police are trying to pin this again on Ronnie's father. Ronnie, I guess, has told the police about the monster and that kind of thing. And she wants to make sure that Lily told the police the same thing. And she found out she actually didn't, that while Lily did say that Ronnie's father was nowhere around, she didn't tell them about the monster because Lily is afraid of going back to this psychiatric hospital where she once was. And she's afraid that if she tells the police the truth, then that's what will happen to her. So she's very torn. She doesn't want Ronnie's dad to be in trouble because she knows he had nothing to do with it, but she also doesn't want to be completely honest with the police because she's afraid of going back to this hospital. So again, getting you more invested in Lily's character, really having you feel for both her and Ronnie for different reasons. You feel for Ronnie because she's wanting to protect her dad, and knows that he had nothing to do with this, and is scared with what's going on. But you also feel for Lily because she doesn't want that either, but she also doesn't want to go back to this hospital. So you feel for both these kids. From there, we cut back to, we cut to Will Hanlon, Major Hanlon's son. They're in the school, and some, him trying to adjust and make some friends. He does make friends with a kid named Rich. It kind of seems like they're in the hallway, but then he ends up meeting Ronnie and kind of becoming friends with her. So now we kind of start to see where the tie-in is going to go with these kids and with Major Hanlon's story that has been laying out, as his son is now friends with Ronnie. So that part starting to come together, because I had been wondering through this first episode and a half now where this was all going to come together at, and seeing, now that we know the military is looking for something, we find out Major Hanlon's son is now friends with Ronnie. It's all starting to tie together a little bit, which I do appreciate. I like mystery. I like not knowing everything, but I do kind of want an idea of what's happening as well. And so this gives us a little bit of that, which I think is very cool. We also find out, though, that the police chief is now trying to blackmail Lily, basically threatening to send her back to this hospital because he's under pressure from the town to get Hank Grogan arrested and in jail. And so the police chief is basically trying to blackmail Lily to say that Hank Grogan could have possibly been there, and he's basically threatening her that if she doesn't, that she's going to end up going back to this hospital, that he's going to send her there. He just doesn't have a choice. And basically he tries to turn it a little bit where he's saying, okay, you can't tell us that you saw Hank Grogan there, but can you tell us 100% sure that he wasn't? Like, he's trying to spin it and get her to say something. And even though we don't hear her say it, apparently she does, because then we find the police arresting Hank, and Ronnie being very upset, family being very upset, and Hank being arrested for these kids' murders. We then cut back to Major Hanlon, who does not believe that Sergeant Masters is responsible for this attack, and so he goes in with to the prison to visit with Sergeant Masters, and kind of does a little setup thing there. He doesn't believe Masters is smart enough to work the weapon that was used, and kind of sets Masters up and gets him angry, and causes Masters to get a hold of a weapon. And then he finds out, yeah, he was right, that Masters couldn't have been the one that did this. And so then he goes to General Shaw and tells him that he knows that it wasn't Masters and that he's going to inform everyone that Masters needs to be released. And we then find out General Shaw is the one that's actually been responsible. He tells the major that he is the one that set this attack up, and it was all a test, trying to test Major Hanlon and how afraid he was. They're testing his fear levels and to see if he could possibly handle this very special mission. We then do cut back to Lily. She is in a grocery store, and she starts to have another vision. To start with, she's hearing voices, she's hearing people talking about her, she's seeing adults in the store looking at her funny, and then she finds herself kind of trapped as the aisles close together and she's stuck in this small square and begins to see her father. Initially, his face, like in a jar of pickles, talking to her. Then she begins to see his hands in other jars. She grabs one of the jars, throws it on the floor, and then all of the jars end up falling into the floor. And her father's body almost seems to form somewhat back into this squid-like looking creature and attacking her. And then again, I guess the manager of the store or whatever, asks her what is wrong with her, and we realize that all of this is not happening, but she is sitting in the floor with a broken jar of pickles. We cut from that, then back to Major Hanlon talking to, or excuse me, to the general talking to the major again, about this mission that they want him to go on. That he finds out that there is this weapon that may be the only thing that can keep the United States from going to war, and that this weapon installs crippling fear into anyone who gets near it, to the point that it could even kill people. And they believe that because Major Hanlon is not someone who really gets afraid, that he might be the only one that can help them retrieve this weapon so that they can use this to hopefully put a stop to the war. We then get one more cutback to Lily, as we find out her mom, after this incident at the supermarket, has taken her back to this hospital, and even though she doesn't want to go, she's now gone back to this. I think it's called like Juniper or Jupiter or something like that hospital, the psychiatric ward where apparently she once was. Her mom has now taken her back there, and we then do cut again back to military, where General Shaw and Major Hanlon are called out to a scene to where the military have found a car with a bunch of dead bodies in it. And that's the end of episode 2. Um, an episode that, again, started off for me for the first little bit a little slow, a little boring, and had me concerned about this series, and then got incredibly good. The last second half to even maybe 3/4, somewhere in there, part of the show. I really enjoyed the rest of this. I really enjoyed the starting to bring some of the stories together, the creepy, crazy visions that the kids were having, the tie-in of this character from The Shining. Like, a lot of these things really, really pulled me in, and I found myself by the end of episode 2 more intrigued than I was by the end of episode 1, more interested and really starting to get invested in this show. So I'm on board with Welcome to Derry and what we've got these first 2 episodes, and really looking forward to seeing episode 3 and seeing where we go from here. Still no Pennywise, which, okay, that's fine. We're setting things up. I do still hope to see Pennywise eventually, but I do like where the story's headed. I like what we're doing here, and I'm so intrigued to see where this Dick Halloran character is going to come into play in all of this, and if we're going to get more of a tie-in between it and The Shining down the road. That's just really piqued my interest. So, yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm on board for Welcome to Derry. 2 strong episodes to start this off. A little crazy, a little hectic, but good. And so, yeah, I'm pleased. I'm enjoying it. Now let me know what you think. If you're watching this show, if you've seen the first 2 episodes, leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about Welcome to Derry so far. Are you enjoying it? Were you surprised? Did you know there was this Shining tie-in? Yeah, just let me know your thoughts. Or if you've watched it and you don't enjoy it, let me know that as well. Let me know what you don't like about it. Again, the interaction with the horror community is one of my favorite things about having this channel, and one of the biggest reasons I do this. So let me know your thoughts on Welcome to Derry, these first couple of episodes. I'll be back on Monday with the regular, my regular scheduled episodes. I'll have Isaiah from Bitter Wolf on with me. We'll be talking about the Black Christmas remake from 2006. Later in the week, Robbie and Kaylee from That Horror Couple are going to come on. We're going to be talking about A Quiet Place Day 1, wrapping up that franchise, as they've been on episodes in the past and talked about the first two movies in the Quiet Place franchise with me. So now we're going to talk about the third one and that franchise in general and what we think. Next week, got some more fun stuff planned. I'm going to try to get an episode or the following, next week, I guess. Episode 3 of Welcome to Derry, of course. I will have Kelly and Sarah from the Final Girls podcast on with me again, talking about Jeepers Creepers 2 this time. I get to be a guest on a live stream with Aaron from A&B Horror Movies and some other great people on there. So a lot of fun stuff still coming. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there. Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X. Just search Sean's Horror Corner. You'll be able to find it. I do try to follow back as much as possible. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, do so. Hit the like button for me today. Help me out. Leave me some comments. Help me to continue to get this channel to grow and bring in more and more people. Thank you again so much for watching. I will see you soon.